What if the key to inner peace lies not in controlling the world around you, but in mastering your reactions to it? It's a perspective that has stood the test of time, one that Marcus Aurelius articulated so beautifully when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. In our fast-paced, often overwhelming world, this idea holds more relevance than ever. Emotional detachment, as understood through the lens of Stoicism, isn't about suppressing feelings or becoming indifferent. It's about gaining clarity and control over how we respond to life's challenges. By learning to separate ourselves from the chaos, we uncover a deeper sense of calm, focus, and resilience. Today, we'll dive into how practicing emotional detachment can transform your mindset, enhance your relationships, and strengthen your ability to navigate life's ups and downs. If you've ever wondered how to remain steady amidst the storms of life, or how ancient wisdom can offer modern solutions, then you're in the right place. Let's embark on this journey of discovery together, uncovering the power of Stoic insights to reshape the way you live. Emotional detachment from the Stoic perspective isn't about turning off your feelings or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it's about recognizing that emotions are natural responses to life's events, but learning not to be ruled by them. A powerful idea comes from Epictetus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, who said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This profound statement captures the essence of Stoicism. Our circumstances may be beyond our control, but our reactions are entirely within our power. For the Stoics, emotions weren't something to be feared or avoided. They were part of the human experience. However, the key lay in understanding emotions rather than being carried away by them. Picture this: imagine encountering a storm while sailing. The waves crash around you, but instead of losing yourself in panic, you steady the ship with calm resolve. That's what Stoicism teaches. Emotions are the waves, and we're the captains of our own vessels. The roots of this philosophy trace back to ancient Greece and Rome, where Stoicism flourished as a way to navigate the challenges of life. Stoics believed that while emotions are inevitable, they don't have to dictate our actions. By developing self-awareness and reflecting on our responses, we can transform even the most turbulent feelings into opportunities for growth. Let's bring this wisdom into the present moment. Think about a recent emotional reaction you had, perhaps a moment of frustration, anger, or sadness. Could you have responded differently if you'd maintained some emotional detachment? Could you have paused before reacting and chosen a response that aligned with your values? It's a powerful question, one that invites us to take control of our emotional lives rather than letting them control us. As we explore further, remember that emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming indifferent. It's about fostering clarity and resilience so that we can act with intention rather than react out of instinct. Keep this in mind as we delve deeper into how practicing emotional detachment can enrich every aspect of life. Have you ever noticed how your mind can spiral into worry or frustration over something that hasn't even happened yet? Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This profound insight highlights a key Stoic principle: the power of cognitive distance. By learning to step back from the immediate rush of emotions, we create space for clearer, more rational thinking. Think of it this way: imagine someone gives you critical feedback at work. Your first instinct might be to feel defensive or upset, but what if you paused before reacting? That brief moment of hesitation allows you to process the situation without being overwhelmed by emotion. It's like taking a step backward to see the bigger picture. Instead of letting your feelings dictate your response, you can approach the situation with calmness and reason. This mental distance isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about acknowledging them while choosing not to act on them impulsively. When we give ourselves time to reflect, we empower ourselves to make decisions based on logic rather than fleeting emotions. Now consider this for a moment. How often do you let your first emotional reaction dictate your actions? Be honest with yourself. Do those initial impulses truly lead to the best outcomes, or do they sometimes leave you regretting your choices later? By practicing cognitive distance, you gain control over how you respond to life's challenges, transforming potential stress into opportunity. In the next part, we'll explore how mindfulness plays a role in nurturing this valuable skill. Emotional detachment, when practiced thoughtfully, becomes a powerful ally in building resilience. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "The obstacle is the way." At first glance, this might seem counterintuitive, but it reveals a profound truth. Challenges aren't just barriers, we must overcome their opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. Emotional detachment allows us to meet these obstacles with a calm and steady mindset, rather than letting them overwhelm us with fear, frustration, or despair. Think about it this way. Imagine you're in a high-pressure environment like a demanding workplace. Deadlines are looming, expectations are high, and the stakes feel impossibly heavy. Without emotional detachment, it's easy to get swept up in the chaos, reacting impulsively or feeling paralyzed by stress. But with a Stoic mindset, you can step back, assess the situation clearly, and respond with clarity and purpose. Instead of seeing the stress as an enemy, you can view it as an opportunity to refine your skills, deepen your focus, and emerge stronger on the other side. For instance, consider someone who practices emotional detachment when faced with a difficult project at work. Rather than panicking over every potential setback, they remain calm and methodical, addressing each issue as it arises. This not only helps them handle the immediate challenge more effectively, but also builds their confidence for future situations. Over time, that calmness becomes a muscle. They train themselves to face adversity with resilience, turning what could have been a source of suffering into a stepping stone for growth. Now take a moment to reflect. What's one challenge in your life that you could face more calmly with emotional detachment? Maybe it's a personal relationship, a stressful responsibility at work, or even a fear you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, remember that the key isn't to ignore your emotions entirely, but to create enough mental space to respond thoughtfully instead of reactively. And as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the very thing that seems like an obstacle might just be the path forward. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This powerful insight from Stoicism highlights the importance of detaching ourselves from the need for external validation. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves seeking approval from others, whether consciously or not? It's a habit deeply ingrained in human behavior, but one that Stoicism challenges us to break. When we rely too heavily on the opinions of others, we hand over control of our happiness to people outside ourselves. Instead of building inner confidence, we become prisoners to their judgment, constantly measuring our worth by their standards. But what happens when we step back and let go of this need for approval? We begin to cultivate a sense of self-reliance that is both liberating and empowering. Let me give you an example. Imagine scrolling through social media and seeing pictures of friends at exotic locations, enjoying luxurious vacations. It's natural to feel a momentary twinge of envy or comparison. However, by practicing emotional detachment from external validation, you can reframe that experience. Rather than letting those images determine your sense of success or happiness, you recognize them as just that, pictures. They don't define who you are or what you're capable of achieving. This perspective shift doesn't mean ignoring feedback altogether. Constructive criticism still has its place in personal growth. What it means is freeing yourself from the relentless pursuit of approval and basing your self-worth on intrinsic values rather than external metrics. By doing so, you build resilience against societal pressures and strengthen your inner confidence. Take a moment to reflect on this. How much of your happiness truly depends on others' opinions? Be honest with yourself. Is it possible that some of the stress, anxiety, or dissatisfaction in your life stems from trying to meet expectations that aren't even yours? The journey towards self-reliance begins with acknowledging these patterns and choosing to take back control. As we continue exploring the principles of emotional detachment, remember that this practice isn't about isolation, it's about empowerment. Building a foundation of inner strength allows you to engage with the world more authentically and confidently. And that, my friends, is where true freedom lies. In the Stoic tradition, acceptance isn't about resignation or giving up. It's about recognizing the boundaries of your control and focusing your energy where it truly matters. As Seneca once said, we must make the best of those things that are in our power and take the rest as nature gives it. This powerful insight underscores the importance of distinguishing between what we can influence and what lies beyond our reach. By embracing this mindset, we lay the groundwork for emotional detachment, not as a disconnection from life, but as a way to navigate it with clarity and resilience. Let's consider an example. Imagine facing an unexpected life change like the loss of a job or a sudden shift in personal circumstances. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of emotions that follow: frustration, fear, anger. But what if, instead of fighting the reality of the situation, you chose to accept it? Acceptance doesn't mean you condone the change or stop striving for improvement. It simply means you acknowledge the truth of the moment. From there, you can direct your energy toward what you can control: your response, your attitude, and your next steps. This shift might seem subtle, but its impact is profound. When we resist circumstances outside our control, we create unnecessary internal conflict, which amplifies emotional turmoil. By practicing acceptance, we free ourselves from the exhausting cycle of wishing things were different and instead align with reality. It's not about surrendering to circumstances, but about empowering ourselves to act wisely within them. Now, take a moment to reflect. What's one thing in your life that you struggle to accept yet cannot control? Perhaps it's a past mistake, a person's decisions, or even the unpredictability of the future itself. Recognizing these aspects of your life allows you to loosen their grip on your emotions and start moving forward with intention. Acceptance isn't passive, it's proactive, a deliberate choice to engage with life on its own terms while staying grounded in what truly matters. As we continue exploring the practical applications of emotional detachment, remember that acceptance is just the beginning. It's the foundation upon which we build greater emotional resilience and clarity. So, how can you start cultivating this mindset in your own life? The journey begins with awareness and the willingness to embrace the things you cannot change. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming indifferent or cold. It's about creating space between yourself and the emotional turbulence of life. A powerful insight comes from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, who once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that our well-being isn't dictated by external events, but by how we respond to them. By practicing emotional detachment, you cultivate the ability to filter out thoughts that cloud your mind, allowing mental clarity and calm to flourish. Think about a time when you were caught in the middle of a heated argument, maybe with a friend, family member, or colleague. Without detachment, it's easy to get swept up in the heat of the moment, reacting impulsively and escalating the situation. But imagine approaching that same scenario with a sense of composure. You listen carefully, respond thoughtfully, and remain grounded even as emotions swirl around you. This isn't about suppressing feelings, it's about choosing which ones serve you and letting go of those that don't. Over time, this practice cultivates an inner peace that doesn't rely on external circumstances. But what does inner peace truly mean for you? Does it mean feeling centered no matter what life throws your way, or finding joy in simplicity and embracing acceptance? Take a moment to reflect on what inner peace would look like in your own life. After all, the journey toward emotional detachment is deeply personal, shaped by your experiences, values, and aspirations. As you continue down this path, remember that the goal isn't to eliminate emotions entirely, but to harness their power in a way that aligns with your highest self. By doing so, you open yourself up to a life where calm and clarity become the norm rather than the exception. And isn't that worth striving for? You might have heard the phrase, emotional detachment means not caring, or perhaps you've assumed it yourself. But let's clear up a common misunderstanding right away. Emotional detachment, especially through the lens of Stoicism, doesn't equate to indifference. In fact, one of the most profound Stoic teachings reminds us that some things are in our control and others not. As Epictetus so wisely put it, this principle isn't about shutting down your feelings, it's about learning where to direct them effectively. Let me explain. Stoicism encourages us to care deeply, but in a way that doesn't drag us into chaos or despair. It's about focusing your energy on what truly matters while letting go of what lies beyond your influence. Imagine this: you have a loved one who's going through a tough time. Of course, you care about their well-being. You want them to feel better. But what happens if you allow their pain to completely consume you? You might lose sight of your own capacity to help. Instead, Stoicism invites you to care with clarity, offering support from a place of strength rather than from a place of overwhelm. Think about it like this: compassion is like a flame. It gives warmth and light, but if you let it burn too fiercely without boundaries, it can turn into a wildfire, consuming everything around it, including yourself. The goal isn't to extinguish the flame, but to nurture it in a way that illuminates without burning you out. Now, here's the question for you. How can you care deeply for someone or something without being overwhelmed by the weight of it all? It's a practice, one that takes intention and reflection, but it's absolutely possible. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in understanding when and how to channel your emotions effectively. By doing so, you're not suppressing your humanity, you're amplifying it. So, the next time you hear someone dismiss emotional detachment as simple indifference, remember this: it's about caring with wisdom, not with reckless abandon. When we embrace emotional detachment, we open ourselves up to a more rational and thoughtful approach to life's challenges. Here's where the wisdom of Seneca comes into play: the greatest remedy for anger is delay. This simple yet profound idea suggests that the key to better decision-making lies in creating space between our emotions and our actions. When we pause, we give ourselves the opportunity to step back, analyze the situation objectively, and respond with clarity instead of impulsiveness. Imagine this: you're faced with an important financial decision, perhaps whether to invest in a new venture or make a significant purchase. If your emotions are running high, whether it's excitement, fear, or frustration, your judgment can easily become clouded. Emotional detachment allows you to strip away those knee-jerk reactions and examine the facts, the risks, and the potential rewards before committing. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff with a parachute. Instead of jumping immediately, you take a moment to check the straps, the wind conditions, and your own readiness. Let's think about it in terms of everyday life. Haven't we all made decisions in the heat of the moment that we later regret? Maybe it was a rushed purchase, a hasty comment during an argument, or even a career move driven more by emotion than logic. Reflecting on these moments, we can see how powerful it is to simply press pause. By practicing emotional restraint, we empower ourselves to act based on reason rather than fleeting feelings. So, I'd like to ask you, what's one decision you've made impulsively that you now regret? Take a moment to think about it. How might things have been different if you'd taken a step back and approached the situation with calmness and clarity? Remember, emotional detachment isn't about shutting out emotions entirely. It's about giving yourself permission to feel without letting those emotions hijack your choices. And when we master that, we set ourselves up for decisions that truly align with our long-term goals and values. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, very little is needed to make a happy life. This simple yet profound statement captures a central tenet of Stoicism, the idea that material possessions often weigh us down more than they enrich us. By letting go of excessive attachment to external things, we open ourselves to true contentment, a state rooted in inner peace rather than external validation. Think about it. How many times have you felt an overwhelming sense of anxiety over something as trivial as losing your keys or worrying about the latest gadget you don't even need? These worries stem from placing too much importance on material objects. When we detach ourselves from the constant pursuit of more, we begin to appreciate what truly matters: meaningful relationships, personal growth, and living in alignment with our values. Let's bring this philosophy into the modern world. Consider the trend of decluttering, a practice that has gained immense popularity in recent years. People are realizing that clearing out physical spaces can lead to clearer minds and greater freedom. Simplifying your lifestyle isn't just about getting rid of unnecessary items. It's about creating room for what truly brings joy and purpose. Imagine waking up every morning surrounded only by things that serve you or bring you genuine happiness. Doesn't that sound liberating? Now, here's a thought for you. What's one possession you could live without? Take a moment to reflect on this. Is there something in your life right now that you cling to but doesn't actually add value? Sometimes letting go of even one small item can spark a shift in perspective, reminding you of the beauty in simplicity and the power of emotional detachment. As we continue exploring Stoicism, remember that material wealth isn't the enemy. It's our attachment to it that can hold us back. By practicing mindful detachment, we pave the way for a life filled with purpose and serenity. One of the most transformative aspects of practicing emotional detachment is how it impacts our relationships, those with others and even with ourselves. Think about it. Often, the conflict we face in our closest connections stem not from the actions of others but from the meaning we assign to them. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Man is disturbed not by things but by the views he takes of them." When we practice emotional detachment, we gain the ability to see situations more objectively, allowing us to respond rather than react impulsively. Take, for instance, a disagreement with a loved one. Without detachment, emotions like anger or frustration might overwhelm us, leading to unproductive arguments or hurtful words. But with the practice of emotional detachment, we can step back, acknowledge our feelings without being controlled by them, and approach the situation with clarity. Instead of reacting out of hurt or defensiveness, we can focus on understanding the other person's perspective and fostering open, healthy communication. This creates an environment where mutual respect and trust can flourish. Healthier boundaries also naturally emerge when we embrace emotional detachment. By recognizing that we are not defined by external validation, we reduce dependency in relationships and allow space for both parties to grow independently. It's important to remember that detachment doesn't mean indifference. It's about creating a balanced state of mind where we can fully engage with others without losing ourselves in the process. Now consider your own life for a moment. How might practicing emotional detachment improve the dynamics of your closest relationships? Would it help you navigate challenging conversations more calmly, or perhaps allow you to set boundaries that foster deeper understanding and connection? Reflecting on these questions can guide you toward building stronger, more fulfilling connections with those around you. Let's continue exploring how this practice extends beyond personal relationships into other areas of life. Let's talk about one of the most powerful Stoic tools for cultivating emotional detachment: negative visualization. Now, this might sound a bit counterintuitive at first. After all, who wants to spend time thinking about things going wrong? But hear me out. This practice, championed by Stoics like Seneca, teaches us to prepare for life's uncertainties not by avoiding them, but by embracing the possibility of failure. As Seneca once said, "He who is brave is prepared for anything." It's all about mental preparedness and resilience. Here's how it works. When you take the time to imagine the worst-case scenario in any given situation, you strip away the fear of the unknown. Think about it. When you know what the worst outcome could be, it loses its power over you. This doesn't mean you're inviting negativity into your life. Rather, it's a proactive way to steel yourself against disappointment or anxiety. By visualizing setbacks, you build a mental shield that makes success feel less daunting and failure feel less devastating. For example, let's say you're preparing for a job interview. Instead of just imagining yourself nailing every question and walking out with a congratulatory handshake, take a moment to think about what might go wrong. Picture yourself stumbling over your words, forgetting key points, or even not getting the job. Now, here's the key. After you've imagined the worst, remind yourself that you can handle it. You'll survive the awkwardness, you'll learn from the experience, and you'll move forward. Suddenly, the stakes don't feel so high, and you can approach the interview with calm confidence. This practice helps you detach from the outcome because you've already accepted the possibility of less than ideal results. And when you're no longer held hostage by fear or attachment to a specific outcome, you're free to perform at your best. So, I want to leave you with a question to reflect on. What's one fear you could confront through negative visualization? Is there something in your life that's been weighing on you, something you've been avoiding because of the what-ifs? Give this practice a try. You might be surprised at how much lighter you feel once you face those fears head-on. Let's carry this insight forward as we explore the next step in our journey toward emotional detachment. Emotional detachment isn't just about handling stress or maintaining inner calm. It's also a powerful tool for managing your time effectively. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. This Stoic reflection encourages us to consider what truly matters in the grand scheme of things. When we practice emotional detachment, we're better equipped to focus on the things that align with our values and goals, while letting go of distractions that pull us away from what's important. Imagine spending hours scrolling through social media, only to realize later that it didn't bring you any real satisfaction or progress. Emotional detachment allows you to step back, recognize those moments for what they are, potential time traps, and decide whether they're worth engaging with. By detaching from the endless stream of notifications, you create space for more meaningful activities. This isn't about depriving yourself of enjoyment, but rather about making conscious choices that serve your bigger picture. Let me ask you this: what's one distraction in your life that you could detach from today? Is it social media, or maybe unnecessary meetings at work? Perhaps it's something else entirely. Whatever it is, consider how freeing yourself from that distraction might help you focus on what truly matters. When you let go of the unnecessary noise, you free up not only your time but also your mental energy, allowing you to direct both toward the things that bring you fulfillment and growth. By cultivating emotional detachment, you develop the ability to prioritize and protect your time more wisely. And as you begin to align your actions with your deeper purpose, you'll find that time management becomes less of a struggle and more of a natural flow. Emotional detachment doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means creating space to observe them objectively. This is where self-awareness comes into play. When you practice emotional detachment, you're essentially stepping back from the chaos of your emotions and gaining a clearer perspective. As Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This quote perfectly encapsulates the idea that true personal growth begins with intention and clarity, two things emotional detachment helps cultivate. Think about it this way: when you're caught up in the whirlwind of your emotions, it's hard to make sense of what's really going on inside. But when you detach just enough to create mental breathing room, you can start to recognize patterns, triggers, and habits that might otherwise go unnoticed. One powerful tool for this process is journaling. By writing down your thoughts and feelings regularly, you can track emotional patterns over time. Maybe you notice frustration creeping in during certain situations, or perhaps you find joy in unexpected places. Journaling acts as a mirror, reflecting back the inner workings of your mind so you can better understand yourself. Now, here's a question for you to reflect on. What's one emotion you'd like to understand better? Is it anger, sadness, or maybe even happiness? Whatever it may be, emotional detachment can help you explore it with curiosity instead of judgment. And as you gain more insight, you'll naturally grow into the version of yourself you've always wanted to become. Let's take a moment to explore how emotional detachment can actually deepen our sense of gratitude, a concept that might seem counterintuitive at first glance. You see, when you practice emotional detachment, you're not numbing yourself to emotions or becoming indifferent. Instead, you're freeing yourself from the constant grasping for more, which allows you to fully appreciate what you already have. As Seneca once wisely said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This idea cuts straight to the heart of why detachment can transform the way we experience gratitude. When you're not consumed by desire for what you don't have, it becomes easier to notice and celebrate the abundance of what is present in your life. Detachment helps quiet the noise of envy and comparison, creating space for genuine appreciation to flourish. Think about this. Have you ever found joy in something as simple as a warm cup of tea on a chilly morning, or maybe the sound of birds singing outside your window? When we strip away the unnecessary distractions and stop chasing after fleeting desires, these small moments begin to shine brighter. They become the foundation of a truly contented life. Now, here's an invitation for you to reflect. What's one thing you're genuinely grateful for today? It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. It could be something as simple as a good night's sleep or a kind word from a friend. By shifting your focus from lack to presence, you start to cultivate a mindset rooted in abundance rather than scarcity. And that, my friends, is where true gratitude lies. Embracing failure as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock is one of the most empowering shifts emotional detachment offers. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, once said, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. At first glance, this might seem counterintuitive, but it's a powerful reminder that obstacles can be transformed into opportunities when we approach them with the right mindset. Emotional detachment helps us strip away the emotional baggage attached to failure, allowing us to see setbacks not as final judgments but as moments to learn and grow. Let me give you an example. Imagine you've been working tirelessly on a big project at work, pouring your heart into every detail, only for it to fall short of expectations. Without emotional detachment, this failure might leave you questioning your abilities or feeling defeated. But with detachment, you'd be able to step back, assess what went wrong, and identify the lessons hidden within. Instead of being consumed by frustration, you'd use that experience to refine your approach in the future. This kind of resilience, the ability to bounce back stronger, is a hallmark of someone practicing emotional detachment. Now think about your own life for a moment. What's one failure you could reframe as a lesson? Perhaps there's a situation where things didn't go according to plan, but upon reflection, you realize it opened doors you hadn't considered before. By viewing failure as a natural part of growth, you unlock a new level of strength and adaptability. Remember, every stumble is an invitation to rise up wiser and more capable. And with emotional detachment as your guide, you'll find yourself walking forward with greater confidence and clarity. From here, let's explore how this mindset shift can ripple into other areas of your life, transforming even the toughest challenges into powerful catalysts for change. In today's world, social media plays a central role in many of our lives. It can be a powerful tool for connection, inspiration, and information, but it also comes with its own set of challenges. This is where the practice of emotional detachment can make all the difference. As Epictetus once said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. When applied to the digital landscape, this ancient wisdom offers a fresh perspective on how we interact with social platforms and ourselves. Think about it, social media often amplifies comparison and anxiety. We scroll through carefully curated highlights of others' lives, and before we know it, we're measuring our own worth against the filtered versions of reality we see on screen. But what if you could approach social media with a sense of detachment? Instead of letting these external influences dictate your mood or self-image, you can train yourself to engage thoughtfully and purposefully. For example, setting boundaries around your social media use can be a game changer. Imagine dedicating specific times of the day for checking updates or limiting your time spent on certain apps. By doing so, you're reclaiming control over your attention and energy. You're choosing how much space social media occupies in your life rather than allowing it to consume you. This small step, rooted in detachment, can lead to significant improvements in your emotional well-being. Now, take a moment to reflect on your own habits. How does social media impact your emotional state? Are there moments when you feel overwhelmed, anxious, or less than satisfied after scrolling through your feed? If so, it might be worth exploring ways to introduce a bit of emotional distance into your interactions online. Remember, true freedom lies not in avoiding challenges, but in learning how to respond to them with clarity and intention. Anger is an emotion we've all encountered, and when left unchecked, it can quickly spiral out of control. As Seneca once wisely noted, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. This ancient insight holds true even today, reminding us that our reactions to anger often carry more weight than the original cause. But how can we gain mastery over this powerful emotion? The answer lies in the practice of emotional detachment. Emotional detachment doesn't mean suppressing anger or ignoring it entirely. It means creating a gap, a moment of pause between the triggering event and your response. This pause gives you the opportunity to step back, reflect, and choose a calmer, more rational course of action. By doing so, you prevent anger from taking the wheel and leading you down unproductive or destructive paths. Let's consider a real-life scenario, road rage. Imagine yourself stuck in traffic and another driver cuts you off without warning. The immediate reaction might be frustration, irritation, or even anger. But what happens if you take a breath and apply emotional detachment? That brief pause allows you to think. Perhaps they're distracted or having a tough day. Instead of letting anger boil over into aggressive driving or harmful words, you regain control of the situation and your emotions. This isn't just about personal peace of mind. It's also about preventing unnecessary conflict and harm. When you respond with calmness rather than rage, you set a positive example and minimize the chances of escalating tensions. It's a powerful practice that transforms fleeting moments of anger into opportunities for growth and self-discipline. Now, here's something to reflect on. What's one situation in your own life where practicing emotional detachment could help you manage anger? Maybe it's disagreements with loved ones, stress at work, or even those infuriating little inconveniences we all face. Whatever it is, remember that the power to respond thoughtfully lies within you. By embracing the wisdom of Stoicism, you can turn potentially explosive situations into moments of clarity and composure. When we face the inevitable sorrows of life, such as the loss of someone dear to us, it's natural to feel overwhelmed by grief. Yet, Stoicism offers a unique approach to navigating these difficult times, not by burying our emotions, but by redefining our relationship with them. A powerful insight comes from Marcus Aurelius, who wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." This perspective shifts our focus from the pain of loss to the inevitability of change itself, reminding us that everything in life is transient and part of a larger natural order. Emotional detachment in this context doesn't mean denying the reality of grief or suppressing feelings. Instead, it encourages us to step back and view the situation from a broader perspective. By accepting that change is an intrinsic part of existence, we free ourselves from the grip of despair. We learn to honor the memory of what we've lost without letting it consume us completely. This isn't about cold indifference, it's about strength in the face of adversity, finding peace amidst the storm. For instance, consider someone grappling with the death of a loved one. They may feel the weight of their sorrow pressing down on them, making it hard to move forward. But through Stoic principles, they can begin to see this loss not as a void that defines their life, but as a chapter that, while painful, has shaped who they are. Detachment allows them to cherish memories without being paralyzed by them, to acknowledge the pain without allowing it to define them entirely. Now, take a moment to reflect on this idea. How could detachment help you navigate loss? Imagine approaching your own challenges with the understanding that change is both constant and natural. Could this shift in mindset bring you closer to acceptance, helping you find a balance between honoring the past and embracing the present? As we continue to explore Stoicism's impact on our emotional lives, remember that its lessons are not just for philosophers, they're tools for anyone seeking resilience and serenity in a world full of uncertainty. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This timeless wisdom holds a profound lesson for those of us striving to balance ambition with inner peace. When it comes to pursuing our goals, emotional detachment can be a powerful ally. It's not about giving up on what we want, it's about shifting our focus from the outcome to the effort itself. Imagine this, you're working toward a big dream, whether it's starting a business, completing a project, or mastering a skill. Without emotional detachment, your mind might constantly worry about failure or obsess over perfection. But when you practice letting go of attachment to the result, something remarkable happens. Your energy shifts from fear of failure to the joy of the process. Instead of being paralyzed by uncertainty, you're free to pour your energy into the work itself, knowing that success, or even failure, is simply part of the journey. Take, for instance, an artist painting a masterpiece. If they're too fixated on the final product, they may second-guess every brushstroke. But if they approach the canvas with detachment, they can enjoy each stroke as an expression of creativity, unburdened by the pressure of perfection. The same principle applies to any ambition, whether personal or professional. By focusing on the effort rather than the outcome, we empower ourselves to take bolder steps without fear holding us back. So let me ask you, what's one ambition you could pursue with this mindset? Is there a goal that's been lingering in the back of your mind, waiting for the right moment or perfect conditions? What would it look like to chase that dream without being weighed down by fear of the result? Remember, success isn't just about achieving milestones. It's about learning, growing, and enjoying the ride along the way. Keep that idea in mind as we explore another layer of emotional detachment next. Emotional detachment and mindfulness may seem like two distinct concepts, but they share a powerful connection rooted in presence and awareness. As Seneca once wisely observed, the whole future lies in uncertainty, live immediately. This quote invites us to focus on what truly matters, the here and now. By cultivating emotional detachment, we unlock the ability to remain grounded in the present moment, embracing life as it unfolds without being consumed by anxieties about the future or regrets about the past. Think of it this way: when you're washing dishes, how often does your mind wander to thoughts of tomorrow's deadlines or yesterday's conflicts? Practicing emotional detachment encourages you to approach such moments with a sense of calm attentiveness. Instead of letting distractions pull you away, you can fully immerse yourself in the task at hand, noticing the warmth of the water, the texture of the soap, and the satisfaction of tidying up. It's not about denying emotions, but about observing them from a distance, allowing you to return your focus to the present experience. This practice fosters mindfulness, helping you cultivate a deeper connection with the world around you. By detaching from the relentless pull of fleeting thoughts and worries, you create space for clarity and peace. And while this might sound simple, its impact can be profound. Imagine carrying that same level of awareness into other areas of your life: conversations, meals, even quiet moments of reflection. Each becomes enriched by your full presence. So take a moment to consider, how could detachment help you be more present? Could it transform the way you interact with others, engage in tasks, or even face challenges? The beauty of emotional detachment lies in its ability to empower us, not detract from our experiences. When we embrace it, we find ourselves living more fully, one moment at a time. Practicing emotional detachment doesn't just offer short-term relief. It's a powerful tool that can reshape your life over time. Take a moment to reflect on this insightful quote from Marcus Aurelius: "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What this means is that the way we think consistently shapes who we are and how we perceive the world around us. The more we focus on cultivating emotional detachment, the deeper these benefits penetrate into our daily lives, becoming a natural part of who we are. Over time, emotional detachment builds resilience like no other practice can. Imagine facing a crisis, perhaps a sudden change at work or an unexpected challenge in your personal life. Most people might react with panic or anxiety, but someone who has practiced detachment will approach the same situation with a calm, clear mind, able to analyze the problem objectively and respond effectively. This ability to remain composed isn't just useful, it's transformative. It allows you to navigate life's storms without being pulled under by the waves of emotion. Another incredible long-term benefit is clarity. When you practice detachment regularly, you create space in your thoughts. Instead of being clouded by immediate feelings, you can see situations for what they truly are. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior, understand others better, and make decisions based on logic rather than fleeting emotions. This clarity often leads to a profound sense of peace, a feeling that's hard to achieve when you're constantly reacting to everything life throws at you. Let me paint this picture for you. Think about a time when you were deeply upset, maybe because someone said something hurtful or a plan didn't go as expected. Now imagine revisiting that same scenario with a detached mindset. You'd recognize the words or events for what they are, just external factors, and respond calmly without letting them derail your inner equilibrium. That's the power of long-term emotional detachment. So, here's a question for you to ponder. What's one long-term benefit you hope to gain from practicing emotional detachment? Is it resilience in the face of adversity, clarity when making tough decisions, or perhaps a deeper sense of peace and contentment? Whatever it may be, remember that the journey toward detachment is a gradual one. But the rewards are well worth the effort. Embracing emotional detachment through the lens of Stoicism is not about shutting out emotions entirely. It's about cultivating a thoughtful, measured response to life's inevitable ups and downs. By learning to separate ourselves from the chaos of fleeting feelings, we create space for rational thought, clarity, and inner peace. This practice empowers us to navigate challenges with resilience and to find joy in moments that truly matter. As Seneca once wisely said, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." These words remind us that every moment is an opportunity to start anew, to embrace change and to grow. Rather than letting fear or attachment dictate our actions, we can choose to live fully, embracing both triumphs and trials with equanimity. Now, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. How might these principles resonate with your life? Perhaps there's a situation where emotional detachment could help you make wiser decisions or cultivate greater calm. Remember, this isn't about immediate perfection, it's about progress. Growth takes patience, and even small steps can lead to profound transformation. So, here's a question to leave you with. What's one step you can take today to practice emotional detachment? Whether it's observing your thoughts without judgment, pausing before reacting, or letting go of something no longer serving you, the power to change lies within your reach. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Stoic wisdom. If you enjoyed this video and are eager to dive deeper into timeless principles like these, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more insights. Together, let's continue building a life of purpose, balance, and meaning.